This world's divided into two kinds of people, the hunter and the hunted. Luckily, I'm a hunter. Nothing can ever change that.
Good evening. A psychotic big game hunter deliberately strands a luxury yacht on a remote island, and he begins to hunt his passengers for sport in The Most Dangerous Game, a 1932 American pre-code horror film directed by Irving Pitchell and Ernest B. Schoedsack. The film stars Joel McCrea, Fay Wray, and Leslie Banks. The movie is an adaptation of the 1924 short story of the same name by Richard Connell. It is the first film version of the story. The producing team included Schoedsack and Marion C. Cooper, co-directors of King Kong. Shipwrecked Bob Rainsford, Joel McCrea, crawls ashore on a mysterious island and finds his way to a creepy castle inhabited by a Russian count named Zaroff, portrayed by Leslie Banks. There, he meets the lovely Eve, Fay Wray, and her drunken brother Martin, played by Robert Armstrong, who were also shipwrecked. It turns out that the game of the title is the mad count hunting down and killing human prey. The movie's tagline is, "The finest specimen I ever killed." The Most Dangerous Game was filmed at night on most of the standing sets used in King Kong, with 4 of the same actors, Fay Wray, Robert Armstrong, James Flavin, and Noble Johnson. The 2 films were shot concurrently, though Kong was released 6 months later in 1933, possibly due to the special effects required to finish it. Numerous other touches in King Kong, including the sound effects and music, also had their origins in the earlier film. Some of the screams of the sailors in The Most Dangerous Game may sound familiar, because they are the exact same screams of the sailors in King Kong when Kong shakes them off the log. The sets were used again for The Son of King Kong, the sequel to King Kong, which was released just 9 months later. One notable set used in The Most Dangerous Game and King Kong, The Gate, was eventually burned down in the iconic Burning of Atlanta sequence in Gone with the Wind. Zaroff's dogs in the film were actually Great Danes borrowed from actor Harold Lloyd. While the dogs are huge, Great Danes are not especially threatening, so with their coats subsequently darkened, they were filmed at an especially low angle to appear more menacing. As the costs associated with King Kong began to escalate, the budget allocated to The Most Dangerous Game was slashed and its production schedule significantly shortened. Cooper kept both of his directors, but he cut his spending in other directions by seeking ways in which his 2 productions could utilize the same resources, including their casts. The shooting of The Most Dangerous Game was ultimately organized around the availability of Fay Wray, as she subsequently was engaged in, or released from, the extensive special effects work on King Kong. The Most Dangerous Game was filmed at San Pedro Harbor in Long Beach, California. It was released on September 16, 1932, and distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. The budget was estimated at $218,869. The film made a very nice profit of $70,000 during its first year of release. The Most Dangerous Game was released before the Hays Code was used on American movies. This being the case, both Joel McCrea and Fay Wray were able to get away with wearing relatively little clothing in comparison to other films of the era. Within a few years, however, some people of the era considered films like this one indecent and too revealing. Due to this pushback, the film was barred from re-release and was not shown publicly for several decades until the Hays Code had finally evaporated. The Most Dangerous Game received mostly positive reviews from critics upon its release. Decades later, author and film critic legend Leonard Maltin gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, calling it a vivid telling of Richard Connell's oft-filmed story. And British magazine's Time Out gave the film a positive review, praising the film's acting and suspense, calling it one of the best and most literate movies from the great days of horror. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 100% based on 19 reviews. Cinematic historians have a tendency to reduce The Most Dangerous Game to a mere footnote in the story of King Kong, but it is, in fact, a gripping horror drama, as well as the first screen rendering of a theme which has since become one of cinema's most enduring. Until next time, this is Paul Gannis. The popcorn is hot. Enjoy the film.
Yes. Here on my island, I hunt the most dangerous game.